I wanna go outside. No. Welcome back to my channel. It's Tyra here with another struggle review. Here to give you guys my last impressions of MonsterLand. Now, last time, MonsterLand just was not it. I did like episode 3, but this go round after watching episode 5 through 8, MonsterLand kind of has something to say. But before we get into what exactly they have to say, because they have to say a lot, and some of it, well, a lot of it is strange. But before we get into discussing all of that good stuff, I'm going to need you guys to drop down and like this video and also subscribe. I'm going to give you guys a moment to do that. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the mermaid, alien, angel, dead lady of it all. So now that you guys have subscribed and liked and all that good stuff, let's get into it. So we start off episode 5 in Illinois, and we're met with a debate. And as soon as I saw who was debating, I was like, oh, it's Piper. The animals, trap to the cages. It's Piper from Orange is the New Black. And we see her. It looks like an everyday debate. We leave the debate and we cut to 16 years later. I would love to know what this show obsession is with having 16 years later, 13 and 14. It seems like we've seen that quite a few times, unless I'm just imagining it and it just seems like a lot from this episode. But I feel like we saw that a lot. But we cut to her debate partner and they look very much happy. They look like a, in-love couple, sneaking off, making out in the bathroom, talking about their home, their anniversary, taking a trip to Italy, and kind of looks like they're in bliss at first glance. But, once we get home and Kate is kind of, she like really wants to turn up. And Shawn is, a little like, no, you might want to slow down. Don't you want to go to bed? Like, we tired. Haven't we had enough? And, it looks all normal at first. But, Kate is like, it's our anniversary. We want to go. I need to, open this bottle of champagne. Granted, we only see them two in the house as, the two adults. But they have corkscrews and certain tools. Looks like just an arsenal of weapons that could be used for weapons, with the child safety lock on very high up. And I was like, well, when you do child safety, is usually on the lower cabinet regions, because, that's where the level is for the children. But this is high. She's like standing on top of a ladder on top of a sink to get there. But, she gets it out, gets the corkscrew out for this wine, but they zoom in on the cabinet being left open. Or, without the child lock. And I was like, but we get into, romance. I mean, it's our anniversary. We're having wine. Looks all very normal. Everything looks so normal. Just blissfully, lesbian couple, married 16 years. Even the bartender's like, what's your secret? Like, this is someplace they frequent. Like, they look very familiar with each other, very happy. But once we get upstairs, Kate approaches Shawn, and it's like a switch, and it's hostile, and it's, who's calling? What are you doing? Why are you trying to control? And I'm like, whoa. We were just happy flying to Italy a minute ago. And we see how blunt Kate becomes because their daughter sent a message, saying, happy anniversary. And it brings up that, well, why isn't our daughter here? Just be honest. Why isn't she here? And Shawn, well, you tried to kill yourself 3 times last year. I felt like she needed to go to boarding school and, get a break. What? We were like just so normal 2 seconds ago. It goes from them just being a blissfully happy couple and lots of back and forth, and then we switch to 16 years before. And they're young. Whoever did the not old age makeup, but the makeup for them to transition from 16 years before and 16 years now, it was so flawless. They look so like appropriate. It looks so detailed and so perfect. You couldn't tell me that, it wasn't really 16 years before, because that's how good it looked. But in this flashback, we see that Kate is, trying to break up with Shawn. And she kind of puts it all out on the table. I've been fine now, with blissful for these past, few months. But, I'm bipolar. I have mental illness. You're okay with it now. You're willing to try with it now. But sometime soon or later on, you're not going to do this with me anymore. I'm a lot. This is a lot. So just break up with me now. Now, Shawn is very persistent. There is nothing that Kate can tell Shawn to draw her away from her. She's like, no, I'm here for you. This episode in particular had so much deep symbolism and so many different elements in it. I really found this episode interesting, especially in comparison to what we had seen before. Not that they were so horrific, but I felt like I was pulling strings to just collectively go, this is what happened. This one, I understood a lot more. Or I'm hoping I did. I think I did, because man. But we get more into, after that flashback, now that we're 16 years later, clearly Shawn has stuck by her side and dealt with her mental illness. But at the same time, Kate feels like she's a victim to her mental illness. Like, I can't even get upset or have a drink without, you trying to handle me with kid gloves and say I'm one thing when I'm not. But at the same time, Kate is very alarming and a little scary. I'm like, you've been married for 16 years? Y'all been doing this for 16 years? Okay. But we spill wine. And as soon as she spills it, like, it looks like blood. And I was like, all right, here you go with the first element of symbolism. We see immediately, especially now, 16 years later, than what we saw 16 years earlier, because Shawn was earlier, I'm here, whatever. It's nothing that, I won't stick by. But this is, afterwards. We're 16 years in, honey. And Shawn is tired. Shawn is tired. We instantly get the feel that this is damn near there every day. Like, it's a fight every day with these bouts of mental illness, depression, lashing out, verbal abuse, getting, upset at the, the smallest, going from 2 to 10 all day. It's a lot. This episode really touched a lot on what it is to, of course it was, on 10, but it's a lot to, you never think about, what it would be to deal with someone who has a mental illness, because mental illness is not addressed or spoken on often. So it never crossed my mind to think about someone else being in a relationship with someone who has a severe mental illness. And we got a good perception of what that might be like. And bless anyone who has and is currently now, because man, Shawn was so exhausted that after the argument, she kind of reaches her breaking point, and she says what Kate said she would say to her, eventually you're going to, just get up here and say you don't want to do this. You're not going to be able to deal with it. And Shawn, in so many words, says this to her. And she catches herself. And she's like, nope. Like, I said it. I don't even really care. It's our anniversary. Let's go to bed. Let's go to sleep. She goes to sleep, exhausted, and wakes up. And Kate isn't there. And the way she woke up, like she jumped up, it was like very childlike. When you might have, let's say you have a 4-year-old and they, cling and sleep with you and are by you at all times. You try to make sure, I want to make sure they're not doing anything that they shouldn't be. Make sure they're safe. She jumped up like she, had lost her child. Like, oh, where is she? I have to make sure she's okay. She can't be alone, at long, periods of time, feeling the way that she felt last night. Where is she? She gets up and goes in the bathroom, and we see blood on the bathroom tub. Now, from the way the blood was spewed, clearly it was because, a lot of times when victims do decide to slit their wrists, it's, it's draped over. So it kind of drenches down the tub or fills up the tub. But we don't see anything after that. It just cuts away. I got nervous. I was like, did it go off? I lost all concepts of time. I was like, it didn't go off right, because they pulled that shit in episode 2. It didn't go off, y'all. It didn't go off. We leave there and go back 15 years ago. I was like, man, they really want people to do math. Be still. We go back 15 years and Shawn is in therapy. And we already see that 15 years ago prior, Shawn is already just as tired as she was now as she was then. But she says, she tells the therapist, I love Kate. Kate is great. She's awesome. But a lot of the time she gets, in her moods, and she's consumed with depression and death. And sometimes I just feel like if you really want to kill yourself, just go on and do it. And when she said that, that made me think about my mom. Not like that. But, when you have friends, family members who go through bouts of depression and stuff like that and are, borderline suicidal. And my mom would go, if you're going to do it, just do it. Because if somebody's actually going to kill themselves, if they actually want to kill themselves, you're not going to talk to us about it. You're just going to do it. And Shawn, feels, like, oh man, let me take that back. No, you said it. Who can even imagine going through a 16-year marriage of, within a week's time, you've contemplated suicide, 3 times that week? Like, I couldn't fathom. Shawn has been, so, though she is her wife, she has been Kate's handler for 16 years. And we see that throughout the episode, she's consumed with it, and that's all she's ever known how to be. That is their relationship. We cut back to current day, and clearly Shawn, she saw something that startled her. We didn't see it, but she did. She doesn't go to call any police. She doesn't go to try to search for Kate, because at this point, we don't see Kate. Or, we don't see any alarming. We just see her, dropping down and scrubbing wine out of the carpet. And then out of nowhere, Kate appears with slit wrists and the whole 9. Shawn is startled. So I'm like, clearly she was in this tub, slit wrists. Clearly she was dead. Kate was dead. DOA, dead. And she's came back and walked in front of you like, hey, what's up? I'm not understanding. Did something happen? Shawn is not alarmed. Shawn is not, oh, well, yeah, you cold? What's wrong? What you want? Let's clean this up. Let's get you some soup. Girl, what? I love the metaphor of Shawn not being alarmed. She's treating everything that Kate is now, clearly dead, pale, I'm not gonna say dying, cold, still, and it's all normal to Shawn because this has been Kate the majority of their marriage. Shawn doesn't know anything else. So she's still, hey, let's scrap. You want your coat? Let me get this sweater. And we see a completely different Kate. Granted, I'm sure she was, more vibrant before and energetic, but the way that Shawn reacted, this has been Kate all along. Kate contemplating, life and death. This has been Kate all along with her bouts of depression. Her contemplating, suicide all the time. This has been Kate all along. So Shawn is very natural. She's in her element. And I thought she was alarmed for a pinch of a second. But I saw how unalarmed she was when she was like, all right, so you got your sweater, you got your scrapbook, okay? I'm going to go to work. What? I'm going to go to work. I know, you just got up out of you just killed yourself, got up, left a trail of blood. We let that blood out of the tub. I cleaned up that mess, even cleaned out that wine out the carpet. Babe, I'm going to go to work and you're going to be all right here by yourself, right? This has always been Kate. And if this is a pinch of what it is to suffer with a mental illness and be in a relationship, but we get another glimpse into, Shawn's life. This is not, some random, like, oh my God, Kate has just killed herself. I'm so alarmed. I need to, make sure I'm checking up on her, try to text her. I can't even focus. My boss is calling. People are, you ready for your I can't even concentrate. I wonder what Kate is doing. Is Kate okay? No. This is it. This is what it's always been. But we go back home alarmed because, of course, she didn't respond to a text message. And she's still in that same spot. She has not moved. She is stuck. And I know from talking to people who've dealt with depression and, mental illness, this is so a thing. This is so a thing, the thing of being stuck. So someone can go to work, an 8-hour, 10-hour shift, and you will come back to that person in their feelings, in their disposition, stuck in the same spot. This episode was good, y'all. This episode was good. But we cut, 14 years. No, let me see. No, we cut to 14 years, meaning they've only, had this house for 2 years. But, they've just bought the house and Kate wants a baby. And Shawn loves her so much that she understands Kate's bouts with depression, her bouts with, suicide, where her mental illness can take her. And she decides, to bring a baby into that environment against her better judgment, just to please Kate. This is how much she loves Kate. She only wants Kate to be happy. That's been her life goal since that debate. And you get a really good sense of this episode. Like, that's where they fell in love, through the debate. She wants that Kate she met in debate class. Her first love. Well, whatever love she was. That's where it all began for her, in debate. Those 6 months of bliss, so she said, that they had. She's trying to recapture that. But Kate is literally dying. Her hair is continuing to fall out. You know, she's just stroking, and we keep getting the same statement of, I want to go outside. I want to go outside. And Shannon's like, no, it's freezing. No. But I want to go outside. No. Shawn is acting the same because she physically sees it, but she doesn't know the difference in her 16 years married Kate and the actual Kate that's dying in front of her. Her outsides are falling apart. She's dying, but inside, this is Kate. I bless her, because this is a hard episode, y'all. But she's, you know, trying her best to keep Kate, you know, docile and in the house, like keep her calm. Hey, let's, you know, remember Italy? You want to go to Italy? Let's cook, and, you know, we can cut on some music. Kate flips out, lets out this big yell, and she just, she looks horrible. She looks like she was about to be embalmed. And Shawn's like, no, you know, hey, let's debate. Red sauce or white sauce? Let's debate. That's Shawn's go-to. What she first fell in love with. Debate. Let's debate. Can we debate? But in the midst of that scream, a neighbor heard it. And in the midst of that, Kate's whole eyeball falls out of the socket. Y'all, when her eyeball fell out of the socket, I was like, okay. But she, you know, hides her upstairs and goes to this, clearly this nosy Karen neighbor. And you get a sense of what she's been, those just the 2 years that they've been on the block. Kate has been that problematic. We never know what she's going to do. Hires her, you know, mental state neighbor just in those 2 years enough for old girl to come to the door and go, this is a, you know, a kid-friendly neighbor. This is a family neighborhood. Girl, go home. I wouldn't even open the door. Shawn goes back upstairs, you know, to check on a whole eye patch, because that's what Shawn is doing. Every little thing. Hey, let's cover those wounds with ace bandages. Let me get that for you. Let me cover your eye with an eye patch. Goes upstairs to her daughter's room, and there's plant dirt all over the floor. And Kate has put herself underneath the bed, and it very much so resembled someone being buried in a casket. It's like she was laying, like she just wants to go so bad. But what does, oh my God, it was so symbolic in this episode. What does Shawn do? Shawn, of course, you know, I won't let you go. No. She's like, I just want to be here. I just want to die. I just want to just let me go. She's like, no, you can't do that. You can't hide. You have responsibilities. Get out of there. She's on her. She wants her to fight, you know, push through that mental illness, but it's just not there. It's too strong. It's who Kate is. And when she realizes, you know, that she can, and they've tussled, they're fighting, and you see that it's so tiresome, because every time they have an argument and fight, Shawn literally passes out and goes to sleep. Shawn gets on that floor and physically buries herself in that dirt with Kate. And you see that's what she's been doing this whole marriage. She has been so consumed with Kate and making sure Kate is okay. It's never been about her. And she's buried every element of Shawn. Not to disrespect her, because Shawn loves Kate. It's love there. It's not, you know, some guilt trip. But she's buried so much just to take care of Kate. She lays on that floor and when she lay down in that dirt and buried herself, I was like, all right. eye patch. She is not letting Kate go. At that point, I was like, when that eyeball fell out and she went up there and she buried herself, she laid in that dirt. I was like, she's not going to let her go. When are they going to get discovered? Because Shawn is not going to let her go. She goes to sleep, tired. And Kate, wanders out because I want to go outside. She wants to go outside so bad, wanders out, zombified, and, picks up this dead crow, goes to this cemetery, digs and lays down in a plot. She's like a zombie at this point, the way she's moving. And for a moment, I was happy that she was free. We have seen nothing more from Kate, that all she wants to do, she just feels inadequate and feels like her life isn't worth being here. She wants to go. Shawn will not let her. Shawn wants to save her, and it's just impossible at this point. She's a zombie at this point. Not flesh-eating zombie, but she's dead. What does Shawn do? No, get up, get in the car. That scene when she got her out of that damn grave and put her in the car, that was funny. Fine, you want to do it? Let's do it your way. I was like, well, hell, what does do it your way mean? Now, do it your way, I thought meant, you know what? If you want to go so badly, let me, send you off the right way. Let me bury you properly. No. Shawn held true to that, not letting her go. We cut to Shawn, capturing, a dead rat. Goes back to the house, hits one of these, goes in the basement. I was like, all right. All right, girl. But it's, cockroaches and, they're in the basement and all these dead things. She's surrounded by death, which is very much what Kate has been all along. And she's, let me keep her subdued, make her relax, keep her in this basement. Let me surround her with dead things to make her feel the way she's always wanted to feel. Oh, honey. But when she lays in that, that bed and she's talking, and honey, like a day hasn't went by, like nothing has changed. Like Kate is not dead. And Kate is literally like an animal. And like, you brought me something dead, like, oh, like, and she's sniffing and a shell of her former self. Shawn is still holding on to the Kate that she knew, the Kate that she loves, that debate Kate. Hey, so what do you think? Let's debate. How do you feel? When Kate turned and looked at that camera and she was the whole, bruh, let her go, dog. Let her go. It's done. It's done. She's dead. And we get that knock at the door. And it's sweet little baby Heather. Child. We had already got that scene before with Kate, sitting in the living room, and there's just so many plants and flowers. There's a lot of plant life throughout the house because the plants kind of do what Kate wants to, which is live and just die quickly. But she's sitting there and she's still, what would, life be, for you if I wasn't here? Like, you ever thought about that? You ever thought about, kind of like how much better off you would be? And she's still, having those suicidal thoughts and what if, I did something? And you see her condition like she's pregnant. You have life and you're still willing to jeopardize yourself. Kate was never well. Kate was never well. And Shawn kind of chose to ignore her because she loved her so much and tried to beat her to help her as much as she could, but it just didn't work. But Kate is at the door. Kate is at the door. Heather is at the door. No, Kate is in the basement, honey. Heather is at the door. You know, I'm back from boarding school. Surprise. Girl, I was like, run, Heather. I didn't know if Kate was about to hop out the basement and rip her flesh off. I don't know. Because she looked real Shawn of the Dead. No pun intended. But Shawn of the Dead. But, you know, I'm back from boarding school and she says, you know, she's taking up debate. And when she says that, immediately Shawn, you know, takes her to the side to sit and talk with her. And they get into this debate about school uniforms. And instantly it like warms her heart. And she finally really sees her daughter. Not saying that she didn't love the daughter, but we know that, you know, the daughter was set into play because it's something that Kate wanted to do. But she finally sees Kate in the daughter because she's, you know, debating so well. And she finally gets to recapture some of what, you know, when she first met Kate in debate class. And you see her kind of have warm feelings of, you know, I don't have to be that anymore. All of the love and things that I had that I wanted to shower and share with Kate, I can do them with Heather. And everything that I loved about Kate are also in Heather. I like this episode, you guys. I like that it did touch on mental health in its own kooky, crazy way. Because it, you know, it should be talked about more. And we were starting off well, you know, into the last impressions. Starting. Let's get to the rest. When we get into the next episode, episode 6, that takes place in Texas, we immediately see that that large crow, oil-drenched bird that burst from the CEO's stomach in episode 4, dead, laying on the ground. And we see, you know, that this is a continuation of the oil spill that happened in episode 4, courtesy of Titan. But we kind of get to see how the oil spill affected an everyday man. Now, this episode was very Shape of Water for me. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I was a little taken out of the episode because I was like, this is like a horror take on The Shape of Water. But we get into this guy who was affected by the oil spill. SHARKO. We get into SHARKO. He was affected by the oil spill. He was, you know, assigned to, you know, clean up, and something kind of exploded out of the water onto him and, you know, burned his skin. You see he's has a limp. He has to, you know, he has to wear an oxygen tank and lug it around all day. But the community, the other fishermen and, you know, what have you, they kind of side-eye him like he's, you know, that widow, that man who was once, that fisherman who was this guy then, but now you're that. And even though that happened to you, we're still going to go and tread in those waters. They're paying good money for that. They said it's clear. He is very alarmed and very against going in that water, having anything to do with it. Look what happened to me. Why would you go? I'm not getting on my boat. I'm not doing any of that. But we also hear a side conversation in this bar about, you know, mermaids, but it's kind of, you know, met with laughs, kind of, you know, tale to tell, because a young man was there who clearly was too damn young to be in a bar holding a beer. But, you know, kind of little hee-hee. Leaving the bar, he stopped and we get, you know, this shifty guy asking, you know, hey, can I use your boat? Can I use your boat? Very nice at first. As soon as he tells him no, remember last time and you got arrested and this and that. Clearly this man has a past. Clearly he's a troublemaker. Well, fuck you. I didn't want to use your boat anyway. You know, we see that he is very much consumed with this incident and what happened in this oil spill. we see, you know, that he does want to protect people, but since this has affected his life, he's living alone, he's in a trailer, he has, you know, needs, you know, oxygen to support himself, he's a heavy drinker, kind of a drunk, a loner. He's alone, he is lonely. But, you know, he tries to, you know, keep updates with the oil rig and the cleanup and what's going on because he's listening to this scanner all the time. But he treads and, you know, he's on the beach and he's picking up fish covered in oil. Like, this oil spill was, like, catastrophic with how much oil is on this fish that was on that bird in the beginning. Horrible. But, we see with this episode, there are themes of, you know, taking care of the planet and, you know, save the whales. There's, you know, they're kind of touching on that in a roundabout way. But he's a loner, so of course he's alone. He's walking, and we found out this tale about these mermaids is not just a tale, it's true. A whole mermaid has washed up on the shore. I really wish they wouldn't have cut here. I really wanted to see how him and his condition, he got that heavy mermaid in the back of that truck. He picks her up, you know, takes her home, just like he did this fish. Puts her in the tub. Puts her in the tub and sits down to have a drink. Now, since he has been consumed with, you know, who he was before. Remember when I was this? My father was an immigrant. We've been through so much to be here. I feel like I'm letting my family down and letting, you know, tradition down, letting myself down by falling victim to this, you know, my condition. I can't even be who I once was. I thought he was going to, you know, try to exploit this mermaid and, you know, make a little profit. No, just sits down and has a drink like she's not even there. We heard movement and, you know, he goes in there, you know, he's very endearing to her. And we found out, like, oh, this isn't, you know, a money grab. This is kind of a companion for him. Because he hasn't had anyone there. But, you know, he's trying to, you know, identify with her, you know, kind of humanize her. Like, hey, I want to clean you. Hey, you hungry? But yeah, she's hungry for something else. He goes, you know, he's buying steaks and giving her choices. He's, you know, feeding her. And the savagery of it all, like those teeth. And he's just so casual. He's not seeing her as a mermaid. He's seeing her as a beautiful woman. And this is way before the transition to her actually becoming this beautiful woman. But we see as, you know, the day or so passes, instead of him drinking alone in front of this TV, he's, you know, drinking with her. I remember this, and he's sharing stories and swapping as you would do kind of on a first date. And she's just sitting there with every bit of, like, boy, if this net wasn't there. We have already seen her attack you. So we kind of already knew where this episode was going. We already seen her attack you. She took that nice, you know, chunk out of his arm. And he chalked it up like, oh, man, yeah, you know, you were washed up. You're hungry. Yeah. But, you know, he's swapping his story. You know, he pauses. Hey, you know, did you say something? I thought she said something. Did you? He wants her to say something. He wants that companionship in her. He wants her to be a woman for him, to share who he once was, to be with, to have dinner with, instead of him being in this, you know, trailer drinking alone as, you know, the town outcast, as someone who once was SHARKO. But, you know, we get that knock at the door and it's Shifty. Don't know his name, but he's Shifty. This episode, because it was so heavy-handed, you know, with my father, and still my father was about parenting, because we see in comparison, you know, to SHARKO and this Shifty guy, what, you know, the right proper upbringing could do. You know, SHARKO, I want to say Sharknado so bad. You know, he was, you know, very endearing to this creature, this mermaid, caring, concerned, you know, with other people, jeopardizing their lives going back onto this water. He, you know, as we find out, has given this man, this shifty guy, all these chances, tried to help him. A businessman, very proud, very, you know, takes, you know, tradition serious, takes his legacy serious. Like, you know, what do I want to leave behind? I was an immigrant and look at me now. Versus Shifty, who has, you know, burnt marks. This is, you know, what my father said to me. He called me this, and that. So they do touch on that, which is good. Of course, old girl had to make some noise, and he sees her in there. And as soon as he saw her, I was like, all right, just knock him out. Clearly, this is not a man who holds himself to any standard. As soon as he gets out of there, I thought he was going to knock him out and just try to take that mermaid right away, because we see him stealing. So clearly he has a problem. Clearly he has a problem. But, you know, he's no. We cut to, because, you know, he's like, you can't keep her, you know, in an ice bath. You can't keep a mermaid in there. They built this whole, you know, large tank filled with water for her. And he tries to reach him, you know, on a personal level of, this is, you know, where we are. This is where you could be. I was trying to help you, not help you. I was concerned for you. You can't tell anybody about her. He's saying he's going to release her back into the water once the water is clear. When is that going to be, homie? Because the water looked terrible. But, you know, he leaves off the strength of, you know, hey, I wouldn't do that. We here. I'm not going to say nothing. And he believes him. Put her in there, and, you know, she's floating and very alluring. And we see lots of hands and whispering and gestures. But we know that this is, you know, this is what he wants to see. This is what he wants this mermaid to be, and she is not. But he's, you know, still talking to her and falling asleep to TV and having dinner, throws her a steak. He eats his cooked steaks. Whole date. We fall asleep and we get a personal vision of what he was having before. We get a knock on the door. It's a beautiful woman. The tank is empty. It's a woman, and she's coming in and kind of saying everything he always wanted to hear. She heals him, takes away the scars, and no more oxygen tank. He's, you know, back to full capacity. Handsome. All right. I see you with your tattoos. You know, he looks good. He's feeling good. And they're like having the time of their life in this little trailer. Because this is what he wants. This is what he wants to see. He's so lonely. But the minute, you know, got it in, got a little sex in. And, you know, he's having a good time. And I'm like, if she is magical mermaid and she did all of this, wonderful for him. But that's not how things work. As soon as we get that knock on the door, because old Shifty, you know, had to go run his mouth, he steps outside. Scars here, that tank. She has not done any of these things with him. There hasn't been any sex. There hasn't been any long conversations about, you know, family and you getting back to your former self, and you're, you know, a creature of the water. You belong to us. You have, you know, salt water in your blood. Basically, we're family. I was sent here for you. That happened so we could connect. No. Of course, he doesn't, you know, give her up. He loves her at this point. He's falling in love with her at this point. Even to the point, you see, you know, raise that shot. I'm Sharknado. It's my catch. Nobody's going to take this from me. Very possessive. Goes back in. We're all handsome again. And, you know, we're still living the dream. But when he goes in, kind of the hallucination kind of goes away, and she's in that tank in that predator state with those teeth, and he's still treating her as if she was the beautiful woman who walked in, because that's just what he wanted to see. That's just what he feels like he needs. So lonely. Whew. But he imagine, you know, let's go for a walk, you know, on the beach, and They're, you know, hand in hand. Soon as he stuck his hand in that tank, I was like, so you just want to die? And, you know, for a split second, it was like, yes, honey, we're on the beach. We're about to dive into that ocean and become one and have that Shape of Water moment, and he's going to have some gills. No. Chomp, chomp. Slaughterhouse. Feast. Feasting. She ate him. But we see him kind of succumbing to that because he, you know, he wanted to. He wanted, you know, her to be that real loving woman. But he also, like, if I can't, you know, rekindle my former self, I'd rather just be, you know, a man of the ocean. And he gives in to that alluring woman, but also gives in to not wanting to be a shell of his former self anymore. He wanted to be SHARKO. Long live SHARKO. Chomp, chomp. This episode was predictable and wasn't, you know, my favorite by far, but it wasn't the worst. It's still, towards the end of the series was much more entertaining to me than the beginning. But we leave that episode to get into episode 7, which I like to refer to as Snow White and the Three Dwarfs. 3 bitches. We get into episode 7, of course, which takes place in Michigan. Immediately, we're met with these 2 girls. And immediately, we see the difference between one girl, Alana, and the other, Laura. One, Elena, very sexually active, seems a little bit promiscuous, seems, you know, like that popular girl in school, you know, very, very cheeky girl. Whereas Laura, very shy, unsure of herself, you know, that damn haircut. I was like, why y'all? All right. I know why y'all gave her the haircut, but like, damn, y'all have to give her that haircut. But she, they're at Laura's house, and her mom being an alcoholic, not too alert. Alana, you know, Miss Old Hollywood, Rita Hayward, obsessed with this, you know, this lumberjack book, and I'm obsessed with the book. I'm doing my hair. I'm smoking weed. I'm hanging out with my boyfriend. Pete comes over, and she's like, immediately that third wheel. Immediately you're looking like, okay, why are these 2 people friends? But it kind of looks like Alana is to Laura, you know, her chance to, you know, hang out with someone who's popular, who at the same time is judgmental, a little mean, and maybe not so great of a friend. And Alana gives her a chance to hang out with someone who may have lower self-esteem, may not have the best, you know, childhood, the best upbringing. Someone to make you feel a little better about yourself. But Pete comes over, and Laura's like, well, you know, well, yeah, can you like leave so we can be alone? What? No, I cannot. Bitch, this is my house. But Laura's, you know, like, well, hell, my mom's an alcoholic. She's not dead. Like, she's like, well, yeah, if you don't, hey, how about you just go in the closet? And she took her ass in that closet. Okay. But we see immediately the type of friend that Alana is, you know, she's a user. You don't really, you know, want to be Alana's friend. You don't see anything in her. She's, you know, a little cyclic, a little flunky, someone to use. Hey, her mom's an alcoholic. I could never bring this guy to my mom's house and do. Let's go to there. But as soon as she, you know, gets out of the closet, or Alana, you know, opens the door and let her out, she's a little upset. Like, not only am I, you know, the third wheel, you want to put me in the closet, and now you're talking about going and rehatching, you know, this lumberjack situation, some serial killer who's hacked up bodies in the woods. No. she's upset. She's lashing out, kind of figuring out, you really aren't my friend. All right, but I got a joint. Because who doesn't love a good joint? It's not me. And, initially we see her say, I'm not coming for that, because if you don't come with me to the woods, you're not going to be able to, get this joint. You're not going to. She's like, no, I prefer not to. I don't think you should go either. No, like I want to, make myself cute and go to these woods. Like, are you trying to get hacked up? But initially she says, no, I'll see you tomorrow. Laura goes to school and comes back home. Detective Elena's mom. And, mom's sitting there. Now, we had already heard, about her mom, being an alcoholic and controlling, and I can and can't do that. My mom would never call me sweetheart. My mom would never call me sweetheart. And we get, a better glimpses to that as soon as she sits down. Where Laura's mom is, Elena's mom is, very concerned and, tell them what sweetie. She didn't, come home last night. Was she at school? Did anything happen? Hey, tell him. Like, ugh. But, she says, I don't know anything. She didn't say anything. I haven't seen her. Bam! 10 years later. Time jumps in the show. Elena is gone, has not been back. And Laura is walking down the aisle with her mom to Pete. Okay. And we see these two girls, these two bridesmaids. And, beforehand we were met with, her addressing, in their childhood, her addressing, like, why do you even hang out with me? We both know that your real friends are those two girls. Like, what am I here for? You don't really care about me. You're not really my friend. Because she wouldn't go to the woods with her. But they're there as bridesmaids, and she's marrying Pete. And Elena's mom is walking her down the aisle. Wow. All right. But, we're at the rehearsal dinner, and they're talking, and, Pete gives this speech and lets us know that, they gravitated so much towards each other because, they were consoling each other after Elena's disappearance, because we had never found a body up until this point. Cut to those two friends. They're not having it. They are not having it. They are not having it. Well, one of them not. But she's like, we're really only here for Pete. But this is weird. Isn't this weird? Her mom is here. She's walking her down the aisle. Where the hell is her mom? And 10 years later, there has been, bones found in the woods. Remains that, are teenage remains. It could possibly be her. This episode, I didn't too much like this episode. The girls call, Laura over to kind of, throw it in her face, that these remains were found. When are you going to, really fess up and tell mom, because she's calling her mom at this point, what you know. We know you know more than you're alluding to. Them friends was ride or die 10 years later. But, at this point, via, friends talking, the lumberjack murders are infamous. The murderer is, infamous. So it's never been an idea for the community to think that it was anything other than a lumberjack in these woods. Now, we see that she does feel a little guilt, and she does want to tell her, like, well, I do know where she went. She went to those woods. But, mom cuts her off and, gives her $1,000 check. And I want you to go and, get outside of this town, go explore. You and Pete are going to be so happy. She has completely replaced her mom, who we saw briefly, what was kind of crazy, aggressive, abusive. Ugh. So she doesn't say anything. We cut to the wedding. Once again, we see Laura styling her hair the same way, that same curl pattern and that we saw Alana doing in the beginning. I want to look very Rita Hayworth-esque, old Hollywood. That's what these victims look like in this book. But we see that, and we're all kind of giving her the side eye of, it did cut, we didn't see anything, but you're marrying her old boyfriend, your daughter now to her mom, and you're fixing your hair just like she did. It ain't looking too good, y'all. But the mom comes in and puts the icing on the cake of, I see you as my, my living, breathing daughter at this point. Passes down the family heirloom of this wedding dress. This ugly wedding dress. That wedding dress was ugly. But passes it down. This is how she sees her, calling her, daughter. And at this point, homegirls is fed up. One of them. She's fed up. And she goes, to the bathroom and then goes through this whole play of, what if this is what really happened? This is what I think has happened. I think she's lying. And we see, Laura go to the woods with her, sneak out, and she's smoking, and we see her disappear. And she's, shouting out, Alana, where are you? Don't do this. This is crazy. Where are you? And she's taunting her. And we see in, every fantasy that she has, these what ifs, she's taunting her. Alana was not nice, honey. Alana was not nice. She was not, she's a little bitch. But okay. That don't mean she deserved to die. I'm just saying. But she sees her, and her mind, the friend's mind, her getting so upset that she knows she's taunting her, and they're pushing, and you're not my friend, and get out of my face. Why am I even here? And she pushes her on a rock, and she hits her head, and then she chops her up with an axe, and then we cut back. And the friend is like, come on now. That didn't happen. You don't know that. But we don't know that it did. But I know someone who might know a little bit more. Her raggedy ass mama. Goes to get her mom on the wedding day. Ruthless. Goes to get her mom. Like, these people have been connected since Elena's death. Pete and Laura have been rocking for 10 years. You guys wait till the wedding day to turn up? Ruthless. Goes to get her, and, mom with her ass tells her, I saw you. There was dirt on your jacket. So you went somewhere. You did something that you're not telling us about. And, at this point, mom is in there, and the two, bridesmaids are in there, and everybody's shook. And we shook too as an audience. Like, girl, come on. Did you do it? But she gives her take, and it's the same, taunting, the weed smoking, and all of that. But she just literally blinks. And who is inhaling that long and opening their eyes enough for somebody to disappear? Like, girl, open your eyes up. But she just disappeared. And that's when she, tripped and got the dirt on her jacket and found her scarf. Mom is done. How could you keep this from me for so long? Storms out. Girls, throw it in her face. I knew she was lying. I knew it. You ain't shit. Storms out. Mom at this point has slapped her. Makeup ruined. Lip busted. On top of that, did this for some money. You really want to know me, Mom? You really want to get to know me? I already know you. I don't want to. Mom left. Not gonna call her sweetheart no more. But we see her run off. She's literally a runaway bride. And she runs into these same woods. And this is when we get into a whole fairy tale. I was like, what? We were just at the... And now it looked like Snow White when she's approached by... I don't know if any of you... I can't think of the movie, but it's a darker rendition of Snow White, and it stars Sigourney Weaver. That's what it looked like. It looked like that dark version of Snow White. I thought she was about to offer her an apple for a minute. But she invites her, to come with her. And, oh, you look hurt. Are you lost? Come with me. And she goes. All right. But she goes into this shack. It's old. It's disheveled. It's dusty. It's web. It's horrible. It's horrific. Ugh. And there's an axe there. But she's sitting there and she's going through the motions of, what happened to you? Where is your mom? We get to where is your mom after she goes through, her first love and Andrew. And this is what happened. I stayed out here so long, I got frostbitten. Where is your mom? This woman is literally, this witch is literally a physical representation of her mom. And I see what they were going for, but it was a hell of a lot going on to get there. And it's like her mom, the wickedness of her mom embodied in this witch old woman figure. And then we just see Alana walk in like a day hasn't went by. She still looks and is wearing the same thing that she wore when she's disappeared. But she's a mute now. She can't speak. But we see that she's kind of been a slave to this witch figure ever since her disappearance. And, she's trying to help her and, help. And can we do this? And what can I do? I'm taking her with me. Like, no. And she gives her an ultimatum. And it just basically shows us the kind of person that Laura is. Even though the Alana character wasn't the best person, she didn't really do anything to deserve that. But Laura is so wicked in herself, which is, how, mom, I already know you. She is her mom. She was raised by her mom. She's ran from that, but deep in here, she is still showing signs of being that. Because the witch gives her the ultimatum of, well, hey, you can either stay here and she can go, or vice versa. And we see her run out. So I'm assuming she shows the latter, like, I'm not staying here. So it was kind of like them saying that she gave up. We still don't fully know what happened, but it looked like it was supposed to be saying that she gave up, like kept it a secret what happened to her. Not suggesting that she did something to her, but even her disappearing, even her being there that night, because she was willing to trade, possibly maybe finding this girl, maybe, even finding her remains if she was dead, to have her life. And she's like, she wasn't using it. It was just sitting there. So I took it. And something her mom would probably do. Something wicked. It's wicked at the end of the day. It's a bad thing that she did. And her mom, her real mom, is of course filled with these bad things. And she showed and proved who she was because she didn't think twice, ran out of that shack in that wedding dress. This episode, as I said, was not my favorite. I did like the fairy tale-esque-ness that happened, but I was hoping they were going to go somewhere else with that and give us a little bit more story. But of course, it cut off. Now for the last episode, episode 8, our New Jersey episode. Hey, Luke Cage. This episode was a lot. Out of all episodes, I understand it was the finale, so of course, let's end with a bang. Man. We are immediately met with open monologue from a little girl's point of view. And she's talking about, the day that these angels fell from the sky. What were they here for? What did they come for? We get into, I'm just going to call him Luke Cage, y'all. I'm sorry. We get into his character. He's shopping. He's buying a doll. A doll that had no covering on. I was like, where's the plastic? But okay. A doll that had no, no covering on it. And he's in the store. We hear change drop and he disappears. But he goes home and we see, this old matted Charlie Brown ash tree with all these Christmas presents around it. And I'm like, well, damn, they gonna have a nice Christmas. Whoever his daughter is gonna have an amazing Christmas. Could have did better on that tree though. But we see, you know, the wife walking in from outside, and we see that their house is the only one that has all these Christmas decorations on it. It's very elaborate, like very brightly lit. And she goes back in the house, and it's like, you know, she's getting ready. Everything seems like a cordial, you know, Christmas day. But he hasn't moved. He hasn't gotten ready. He shows no interest in wanting to go and do anything. Now, throughout the entire beginning of this episode, we've seen, you know, hints of, you know, ballet and ballerinas, and, you know, we've seen that. And we also see, you know, all these gifts, and, you know, we want to go out. What are we doing? We don't see a child. There's not a child in sight. Then we find out, you know, when, you know, she comes downstairs flustered because he isn't ready, she wants to go to group therapy. It's a group for families who, you know, who've lost their children. And we find out that, you know, his daughter is missing. She went missing, you know, in a ballerina tutu. And this episode deals very heavy with grieving. And, you know, the stages of grief that you go through, and, you know, acceptance, and, you know, denial, and all of that. This episode was very heavy with that. But we see the contrast between the two parents, where the husband he's very sunken in his grief. And I can't believe that. If I believe that we aren't going to find her, if I stop going to these police, if I stop searching, stop going, he even goes, you know, to hypnosis therapy to try to remember something about that day. He was walking, you know, with his daughter from ballet class, and, you know, stops to get ice cream, went to pay, dropped some change, went to pick it up, and she was abducted. And, you know, if I, you know, stop, that makes it real. We can't give up. It's been 16 months, which is, you know, a decent amount of time, but, you know, you can't tell people when to stop grieving. Which brings me to the wife, the mom. She was, and I am a mom, I'm a mother of two. I understood where she was coming from, you know, with the husband, and we can't sit here. We can't, let's, you know, kind of move on. But she wasn't like eager to do so, but I was not feeling how she was, you know, kind of trying to force him to stop grieving. And like, you know, I'm going to this group. He's like, you're going there. You want her to be dead. You're admitting that she's dead. She's not dead. She's just abducted. She's like, no, it's helping me. But I just couldn't, I wouldn't know how to fathom something like that, to just let go of it in 16 months and try to move on. That's heavy. I also like that we got to touch on kind of this, you know, this missing black girl thing. Because so many little black girls and women go missing, and it's not a lot spoken about it. It's not always, you know, nationally covered. You rarely see it. No one talks about it. And it's this big thing of women and children going missing and being trafficked. But we saw, you know, him going and, you know, keep pursuing these officers. And it was kind of, it was caring to a certain extent, but you could kind of see that the officer was kind of like it's him again. But the dad is just so persistent. And we know that that's how it goes a lot of time with, you know, missing kids, missing little black girls. They aren't given a lot of time of day to go. We're still looking, we're still trying. You only get a short amount of time that they're going to consistently search for your loved one. But we see mom, you know, who's decided, you know, to go to therapy. And she's talking about, you know, these black Sharpies, because we saw dad and these, you know, brown Sharpies in the drawer. And, you know, about her daughter being abducted. And, you know, we see the other members kind of lash out like, so she's not dead, like she's abducted. And the group leader kind of comes to, you know, her defense, like, no, you know, we're all here, you know, for a certain purpose. But mom leaves therapy, and we see, you know, this image run off of this tutu, and it's her daughter Tabitha, and she follows it, and it leads her to this dead fallen angel. But once she, you know, sees that, she comes into the acceptance of, I can feel it, you know, as a mom, I can feel it in my body that she's gone, she's dead, she's no longer here. And she also admits to cheating, you know, within her marriage with the group leader. Like, girl, you let him come and pick me up from the police station and everything? Okay. But because, you know, he's been picked up because he went to check out this license plate. Like, he is trying, he is grasping at straws to find his daughter. But we see the wife kind of crying out, and we kind of see from her perspective of, you know, I've been the one trying, you know, to support you, support the household, give you time, but I can't do this by myself. So yes, I did go out and, you know, cheat, but it doesn't mean I don't, you know, I don't love you. I'm here. I need you to fight for me. I need you to fight for us. You're so consumed only with, you know, finding our baby and us losing our babies. You're losing me. And he kind of, you know, gives up, and she, you know, walks off like, you know, it is what it is. Then we go to a diner, and we see the world's worst mom again. Like, what? Can somebody put in the comments the significance of her being entangled in 3 of these stories now? I just want to know. Why y'all think she's there? But she's there, of course, to offer, like, is she supposed to be like an agent of chaos? She's there, you know, to offer, you know, booze, and you got anything hard and liquor, and, well, you know, we could have sex. Like, that could probably make you feel better. You look down, just offering him sex, you know, all random, like some damn prostitute, thought ass. I'm sick of her. But, you know, he's like, you know, still standing strong. Like, I'm mad at her. She did cheat, but I'm still very much married. Back up, girl. Which leads me to, you know, her story. She's, you know, going on about, you know, this child screaming in the diner, and it reminds her of her daughter that she left. And she goes to, you know, purchase some drugs from this, you know, little dealer, and they have extracted the blood from these fallen angels' body, and, you know, they're selling it. It's like, you know, you see your true self. It, you know, it shows everybody something different. She takes it, hallucinates pigs, animals, like, showed her true self. And when she comes down, she's, you know, dark eyes, no mouth. It kind of demonizes her. Like, you know, I see myself. I was a monster. Let's play, you know, who's the worst, you know, the worst parent game. It's you, girl. It's still you. But he, you know, goes off into, you know, what happened to his daughter and how he lost her, you know, picking up that change. He is carrying around so much guilt and not understanding that, you know, anything at any waking moment can happen. It's not your fault. Whatever happened to her when she was abducted, like, it's not your fault. But they presumed to talk and dance. I thought they were about to get it in for a second. And I was like, why? You go there, you're willing to hang out and hug up on and slow dance and possibly a stranger, but you can't identify and console and try to regroup and rethink with your wife or your marriage. But I understood. I was like, oh, he feels, you know, comfortable with, you know, this world worst parent because she makes him feel better about himself and what he feels like he did to his daughter compared to, you know, what she did. Like, at least I didn't, you know, put her in a car and leave her by the wayside, which we already knew. Like, we didn't need you to verbally say that even if you wanted to go get your daughter, you wouldn't, you can't, you don't care. We knew you didn't love that baby from jump. But, you know, she drops some change again and he's out the door. He's out the door, he's walking, and there's a trail of Sharpies that leads him to what he thinks is Tabitha, and we see another one of these fallen angels. But unlike his wife, this one isn't dead. She's just wounded. He picks her up and he takes her home to the wife, lays her in, you know, the daughter's ballerina bed. And, you know, they're just contemplating, you know, of why she's there and, you know, why angels are here and why maybe, you know, heaven isn't all, it's a, you know, a talk of spirituality and heaven and hell and all of that good stuff. Then this angel proceeds to, you know, take her blood. And we already saw what it done to the waitress, Tony. And, you know, give it to them to taste. And immediately it leads them to kind of deal with what's going on. Because I didn't know what was happening. I was like, oh, she is fucking them up. But no, once she gives it to them, they finally kind of hatch out what they've been walking around for, you know, all this time, these 16 months. And he's like, you know, I don't know who I am without my daughter. I don't know how I'm going to go on. I'm carrying around all this guilt. And she's saying, you know, we're going to be fine. We are still us. I am still your wife and you're still my husband. We can get through this together. We can still be something after this. We can grieve and get by and console each other and be okay. Then, I mean, you know, after he goes and, so you fucked him? Was it good? Was he here? She's like, it was here. Yeah, because they're high out of their mind. Goes and punches him out. That was funny. It was all like, let me go handle something real quick. Yank. How dare you? Preying on people in group. Not my wife. Yank. Comes back. They argue some more. They hatch it out. They finally do what I'm feeling like she's been wanting to do, because we figure out that he's been keeping this Christmas tree in place in the hopes that, you know, when she comes back, this will all be here. She'll know that we never forgot about her for 1 second. And she's like, no, get this out of here. I don't want this. This is it's death just sitting in the room with this dead tree. Get it out of here. They destroy that and they just collapse on the floor, you know, with each other, and kind of come back together and forgive each other and talk about, you know, when they first met and what they were, as she's wrapping his hand, and remember what they still love about each other outside of them being, you know, the parents of their baby who disappeared. And it really touches on what it is to lose someone and grieve properly and move forward, which was beautiful to see. But it was a lot going on. They begin, you know, to rekindle and forgive and, you know, get to, you know, having sex with each other, which, you know, seemed like, you know, they probably hadn't touched each other in a very long time, which is why she probably, you know, I keep wanting to call this thing alien. The angel, fallen angel, comes downstairs, slits her throat, and all this blood spews on them, covering them as they climax an orgasm. I was like, what? Oh. Even right now, I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around why. Because that little bit of blood, you know, from her wound helped them so much. So I guess that was, you know, symbolic of, you know, this angel willing to, you know, sacrifice herself in total to save these other, you know, these other people. And this is, you know, why they were sent down. But they, you know, we see, you know, imagery of, you know, their daughter walking out the door, and then they get up and walk out the door naked, covered in blood, and lead them to theater. And we get this nice image. We had, you know, we hadn't seen her daughter. We saw glimpses of the daughter in the tutu, but we hadn't, you know, actually see her face. And we get this beautiful little girl with these, you know, these glasses, and she's got her little Sharpie shoes, and she's dancing. And, you know, it's said that, you know, people have their own perceptions of why these fallen angels were sent here. But this couple personally feels like they were sent here so they could have closure with their daughter. And it goes off with them finally embracing the fact, you know, even though she is, you know, dead and gone, we're still going to be okay. And we get to say goodbye to her now. We get to see her, you know, in this last grand performance, because, you know, she was so shy, but she was so vibrant on this stage. Good stuff. Strange stuff. but good stuff. Well, you guys, those are my closing, thoughts on the show. As far as how I feel about the show, my last impressions, I feel a lot better about the show and kind of understand what the show is trying to say now that I've, watched it in full. The show has a lot to say, a lot of different topics that they're covering that, everyday people go through, but it's just, a quirky, strange way of coming across and getting there that is kind of making the audience, we're like, well, what the hell is going on? You can miss stuff if you're not paying attention. But I loved episode 3. I loved episode 5, and I liked episode 8. Would I watch a season 2? I would. Now that I know what I'm looking at and the things that I'm looking for, I would watch a season 2, and I would review a season 2. But let me know, you guys, feelings about the show. Like, this show is a lot. It's a lot. But if you feel like I missed something, put it in those comments. If you got something different, from these last 4 stories that I didn't get, put that in the comment also. But, thank you guys for joining me and listening. I know this video was a little long, but it was so much to touch on, especially with 4 episodes and especially with me liking 2 of them. But thank you guys for bearing with me and watching it in total, hopefully. I see you guys for my next video. Bye.